Prior to COVID-19, receiving a formal education from an online school was a relatively unfamiliar concept to the majority of the world. However, due to the sudden closure of schools across the globe, there was a scramble to find an immediate educational solution, which happened to be online classrooms. From one day to the next, a staggering number of students, parents, and teachers had to familiarize themselves with the world of online education. Today, I'm going to talk about my 10-year journey with online school before online school became a worldwide reality. Before I get into online school, though, I want to give a bit of a background on how this unique, decade-long journey began. I'm originally from Canada. However, I've spent my entire life living between Japan, Greece, Switzerland, and France. My educational path was relatively normal. I went to pre-K and kindergarten, but everything changed when I was in 2nd grade attending a school here in Tokyo, and the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami hit Japan on March 11th, 2011. This already catastrophic and devastating earthquake and tsunami was soon followed by the Fukushima nuclear disaster, which is now known as the 2nd worst nuclear accident in history behind the Chernobyl disaster. There was an instant ripple of sadness and uncertainty that swept across the country, and my family decided to temporarily leave Japan. During this time, my parents had to find an educational substitute for me and my brother. But back in 2011, it was relatively difficult to seamlessly find an online school. Luckily, we were recommended something called K-12. K-12, now known as Stride Academy, is an online school and a pioneer in the educational sector with over 1 million online school students to date. The journey was not an easy transition as an 8-year-old, and I found it particularly difficult to acquire the discipline that's necessary to work in an online environment, in addition to obviously missing friends and the regular routine. Regardless, my parents decided to continue to move us through this process, and as the months went by, I ended up really enjoying studying independently. In addition, the situation in Japan gradually became more stable, and we decided to return. Now, the natural next step was to go back to the school that I was at prior to. But at the very last minute, my parents decided that instead of attending a quote-unquote regular school, we were going to travel the world for a year, as K-12 offered an unparalleled amount of flexibility. So that's what we did. We would go to Australia and spend starry nights in Uluru talking with Anagu Aboriginals about their art, work, and culture. The next month, we would be in Siem Reap, visiting and exploring temples such as Angkor Wat and the Bayon. And then we'd find ourselves taking month-long road trips throughout Italy and, again, exploring World Heritage sites like the Colosseum and Pompeii, while I could simultaneously read about them in my history textbooks. Connecting my education with my real-life experiences was not only eye-opening, but it has made me the person I am today. Obviously, I think it's important to mention that, it's a unique opportunity, right? So I would like to take a moment and talk about some of the positive sides. I mean, after this first year of online school, I told my parents, I'm not going back. I'm hooked and I refuse. I mean, why would I go back to regular school when I can focus on things and work at my own pace and dive into academic interests? This being said, another positive of online school is that you can structure your days based on the guidelines and resources of each course. For example, if you want to fast track through a course, you can work at your own pace, or vice versa, and take your time. Either way, online school provides that advantage. In my case, I was very interested in math and science, so thanks to online school, I could allocate a lot of time to those subjects. I would spend 3 hours doing math in the morning, and then 2 hours working on physics, and another couple hours working on history, another language, and maybe a science as well, another one, why not? This really gave me a different opportunity to look into my education. I would like to take a moment here, though, to clarify that I know not everyone is as passionate about online school as I am, so I want to ask the audience a question. What's the first thought that comes to your mind when you hear the words online school? Take a moment. I'll also take a moment. Okay, well, I'm willing to bet that some of you think about Zoom and isolation and the overall pressures of the pandemic. This is a very understandable point of view. I mean, I think everyone went through this at some point during the pandemic, but clearly my experience with online school was very different, and I think there are some key reasons why. This brings me to my next point. Zoom does not equal, or online school does not equal Zoom. Kind of got ahead of myself there. The point is that Zoom is a great asset, but what I've noticed, it seems like an obvious point. You might be like, okay, of course, Zoom, we've all been there. But Zoom is something that kind of came into the scene relatively late. For the first 9 years of online school, I had no background with Zoom, which I think is quite interesting. I think instead online school should be associated with the self-studying component. Self-studying is what can take students to the next level compared to slogging through an online class. I mean, Zoom is obviously a tool that should be utilized now that we have it, but it is not the foundation of an online learning environment, and I want to make that very clear. Online learning can be far more multifaceted than most people give it credit for. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the fortunate opportunity that my family and I had to travel the world and study at the same time. You do not need to travel the world in order to receive an impactful online education. All forms of online education allow students to break through the constraints of a normal Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 routine. And I think that's something that is probably one of the biggest benefits of online school. If you want to dive into your community and explore and support different causes, or go into an interest that you just couldn't cover based on homework and different extracurriculars that you have. So I think that's one key point to mention. This being said, online school has become somewhat of a bad guy since COVID, and it's become heavily related with the pandemic. Before COVID-19, I would constantly receive comments like, oh, you must be socially inept, or you won't receive a rigorous education. Overall, online school was seen as an inferior option. After COVID, though, it was a complete switch around, a 180, you could call it, where instead of doubting online school, people would ask me, wow, how have you been doing this for so long? How do you sit for 6+ hours and work on something while also separating your studying work life from your home life? It was very interesting for me to see the complete transition, the drastic transition, I might add, in people's perspectives. In fact, when I was in 7th grade, all of the negative commentary that I would receive about online school finally got to me, and I decided to reapply to the school that I was at prior to. I went back, and I was miserable. Everyone was building up online school, but in my opinion, online school felt like a waste of time. A regular school felt like a waste of time. That would kind of defeat the purpose of my talk. So regular school felt like a waste of time. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to offend people. I think regular school is beneficial for most of you, right? I mean, most people go through that. But after experiencing online school, I realized that it gives you this edge where if you're working on a math problem or an essay, something that really requires additional effort and time, you can focus on that versus being forced into a generalized classroom environment and schedule. So online school, in short, gave me the momentum to really grasp and retain what I was learning. A problem that we see in the current educational system is that there is always some form of an imbalance in a classroom. You have the so-called top of the class that receives attention and praise, and you have the so-called bottom of the class that receives a lot of attention as well, leaving the middle section of the class in some form of limbo. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, at some point in your lives have experienced being ignored in a classroom environment. It can also occur the other way though, where the middle section of the class receives that priority and the top students thrive on their own while the bottom students slip under the radar. In either scenario, this structure can be detrimental to a young individual's confidence in their academic ability. in a regular, well, I was going to say, in an online school environment, that's almost completely avoided because it offers a more one-to-one learning approach. In a regular classroom, it can be hard to properly pursue your passions, effectively work at your own pace, and there are also a lot of restrictions in terms of age. Maybe you have experienced this before, but I would constantly be told, oh, you can't take this yet, wait until you're older, even though I had the academic knowledge and capability to take that course at that time. Coming back and tying this unconventional story as to why I'm here today. I mean, it's not exactly a normal thing, but this unconventional pedagogy has made me the person I am today, as I mentioned. And without it, I wouldn't have been able to create a global community in place of a traditional one. And most importantly, become the director of my own education, which I think is the largest and most meaningful asset of online education. Today, I'm actually a first-year student at Waseda University in Tokyo, studying economics. And you might ask yourself, well, so you just abandoned online school? No, I definitely did not do that. That would be kind of funny. Instead, I decided to focus on other things in addition, and I'll get to that. As I mentioned, I'm very interested in math and science. I think I've made that very clear. And I really want to study physics. That is my goal. And so Waseda is actually discontinuing their English-based physics program this year due to lack of applications. And so I was disappointed, but naturally I said, okay, I have a 10-year online school background. Perfect. I'll just take online school classes. So that's what I did. After a couple Google searches, I found a school in the US that offers a full curriculum of rigorous mathematics and physics classes, and I'm currently taking a full course load of economics and political science at Waseda University, as well as a full course load of mathematics and physics at this other university in the US. Now, this is another example of how online school can be an excellent addition to an academic experience. Although I plan to transition to an in-person program for physics, online school was the perfect solution based on the circumstances. You can break boundaries with what you're doing. Is there something you want to study for a long time, but it hasn't been available to you or you've constantly put it off? I've been there. That's quite a common thing for me. Then, as cliche as it sounds, today is the day. If you're watching online, go and open a new tab and start looking for potential programs or courses. If you're in the audience, go onto your phone and start exploring. Separate this COVID perspective and this negativity towards online school and give online school a second chance. Thank you to everyone watching, and a big thank you to my mom, my dad, my brother, and everyone else that supported me, because we all know online school can be hard, but it's worth it. Thank you.